Hello, this is RICKY, the Android guy. Hey guys, today we have another side-by-side comparison between two mid-sized tablets. That is the iPad mini versus the Samsung Galaxy Tab 4 8.0. Now we're going to put these two devices up against each other and see which one really is best for you. And although I am the Android guy, I definitely give credit where credit is due. So let's see which one of these tablets gets the features that you want the most. Now, when it comes to look and feel, I feel like this is one of the areas that we do see a difference in the style and, of course, in the price point for build quality. So for the iPad mini, obviously this is the more expensive out of the two, and you have that brushed aluminum that is very well known that is most likely going to be used for the future iPhones now. So it's obviously been very popular and people have liked it. That curvature is just such a simple and just very elegant style design. With the Samsung Galaxy Tab 4, you'd have a similar looking design to the Note series and S5 series on the front, which is really nice. I do like the multi-screen button. Now that it's here, it just seems so much nicer to jump between your apps as such. Now on the other side though, we have an interesting backing. It's kind of a hybrid between a premium feel and a cheap feel. What I mean by that is it reminds me of the Pro series, which has a really good feel, and the Tab Lite series, which had a really cheap feel. It's a different kind of texture, but it feels nice to hold, and that's the thing. So in terms of holding, it's very lightweight. It's it feels good around the edges. The curvature is really nice, and it feels good to hold, definitely. Now, overall, which one has the better look and feel? I would go to the iPad mini for look and feel. Now, before we go into web browsing, the first thing we always take a look at is the screen quality. On the iPad mini, we have a 7.9 2048 by 1536 screen, which gives you pixels per inch of 324. On the Tab 4 8-inch, we have an 8-inch screen, 1280 by 800, which gives you a 720p display, which gives you a pixels per inch of 189 pixels per inch. So it's going to be lower, but let's see how they actually work in terms of web browsing. And they're both still going. This is a heavy website, so normally most websites should have loaded by now. And hopefully they didn't get stuck, but so we can pretty much say they loaded about the same. Neither one has exactly finished yet, but they look pretty much done. So let's see how they move. So both move very nice. And moving up to down, surprisingly, actually the Tab seems a little bit better at it. Let's try pinch to zoom. The iPad definitely has a better pinch to zoom on this one. Yep, would say the iPad has a better pinch to zoom. Now let's see double tap. Wow, that was a big delay. Let's try that again. Okay. So the iPad seems to beat the double tap in, and the mini seems to beat the double tap out. Both are really interesting. So the iPad mini finally finished, whereas this one's still loading. As you can see, though, they both took forever to load. And it's a heavy website, so it's to be expected. Overall, I would say these are about even, simply because of the fact that both of them do a good job at web browsing. The iPad mini should have a bit better clarity on its screen, but at the same time, one thing I always say that Samsung has a big advantage in is the fact that you can do split screen with their tablet. So you can have two web browsing pages open at the same time, which is something you simply cannot do with the iPad mini at this time. All right, so that would be a draw. Now, when it comes to listening to music, obviously be better off with a Bluetooth speaker or headphones, but still, let's test them out speaker to speaker. On the iPad mini, we do have the speaker at the bottom, as well as the Tab 4 has it on the back side of the right side of the tablet. So we will check out to see which one is the better one when it comes to music. First, we'll start off with the iPad, then go to the Tab 4, then vice versa, or then back and forth.
Crazy how the game is changed. The lights go on, they scream my name. The curtain goes down, I remain the same. But all that money don't equal the price of fame. I was a boy with a dream, had my head in the clouds. Now I'm sleeping first class, got a bed in the clouds. Hit my pops to pick me up, and he said he was proud. King shit with a beanie on instead of a crown. Yeah, counting. Shout out to the most high. Started from the bottom, now I'm sitting at the most high. Gypsies to the business, now I'm literally so fly. Motivated by my progress, yes, that's why they call me coach.
So the interesting thing that just happened was that before I did this video, I would have said the iPad mini was the louder one and the Tab 4 was the clearer one. And now when I played it with a backdrop that curves the sound back to me, it sounded the opposite. The iPad mini sounded like the clearer one and the Tab 4 sounded like the louder one. So it really is how you place it, apparently. Overall, we will call this one a tie. Generally, I would say most people would feel that the iPad mini is the louder one and the Tab 4 is the clearer one, but studio tendencies make it differ. Now, when it comes to watching movies on these devices, obviously one thing you have to always point out is the iPad mini has a 4:3 screen, whereas the Tab 4 has a 16:9 screen, making the screen not only have a better placement of the video, but a much fuller placement, and it just doesn't look awkward as the iPad mini does. So on that note, let's try out both videos and see how they turn out.
Water is everywhere, like in our sinks, in our hands, on our tables, and in here. And since we expect our phones to be with us wherever we go, shouldn't they be water resistant? Yeah, we think so too. Introducing the water-resistant Samsung Galaxy.
So, to me, it's very clear. Hopefully, it's clear on the video, but it just really seems like the Tab just does so much of a better job when it comes to video playback. Upon watching a couple of different videos, the colors seem to be just much more vibrant and look well, while not being oversaturated. So it just does a better job, especially even in shading. Like the shirt shading is just something that it looks really dark here, whereas here it looks light, then dark. It kind of goes together very well. And I've seen this in a couple different videos in lighter and darker scenes, and it just seems to reproduce much better video quality. So for watching movies, I would recommend that the Tab 4 will give you a better experience. Now, when it comes to camera quality, the iPad mini Retina definitely has a leg up on the competition, just being the more megapixel for the rear camera. So it's 5 versus 3.2, and you can definitely see it in the clarity right here. It's not clear, and it's a fixed focus lens on the Tab, so that is definite hit point against it. In terms of color reproduction, they are closer. I would say that the Tab does better reds and greens, whereas the yellow is definitely preferable on the iPad mini. So color reproduction is closer. And then when it comes to the front camera, we see Again, just the difference. And that is that the colors seem to be much better off on the iPad mini. However, when it comes to the clarity, it goes to a slight edge on the Tab 4. Overall, though, I think most people would be a little bit happier with the iPad mini's cameras. Now, when it comes to games, the level of gaming is wide open for both of these tablets. Samsung definitely, in terms of Android, has one of the biggest selections of games available to it. However, it does pale in comparison to the iPad mini with Retina's graphics card, and for this reason, overall gaming experience will be better off on the iPad mini. Now, when it comes to battery life, these two tablets are actually fairly overall good. Both of them will allow you to get more than standard 8-hour battery life on the 8-inch series tablets. However, what's really interesting is in which way they drain battery. The iPad mini has one of the best maintaining battery percentages I've ever seen when you are not using it. It literally might drain 1% after a day, which is quite impressive. However, when it comes to the Tab 4, it seems to drain a little bit less when I'm actually using it compared to the iPad mini, which seems to drain faster when actually using it. So for this purpose, I will call this a draw, because the more and more I ask people, the more I find similar features. Some people like the battery to be more important when they're using the device, and some people find it more better that if they don't use it for a couple of days, it will still maintain the battery life quite well. So since they both give you over 8 hours and they both have different features, we will call this one a draw as well. Now, when it comes to extras, this has never been Apple's strong point, simply for the fact that on the iPad mini, you don't really have any extras that stand out much, except for the recently added Pages, Numbers, and Keynote. This does supply a really nice feature, but in terms of overall quality of an app, I give it to Handcom Office for Samsung, just being the much more like Microsoft solution than any other app I've seen besides the full version of Office. Now, both of these allow you to create, edit, and share, but you do have to give it to iPad when it comes to cloud-based over just using things like Dropbox and other ways to sync it. However, Samsung does give you other extras in terms of software, such as things like Kids Mode, which is really nice for kids, multi-user ability, split screen ability, and software. And of course, you can't forget the hardware features, namely the two on this side, which give you memory card expandability, so you can add up to 64 gigs, as well as the IR Blaster, which allows you to use this as a remote control to any of your electronics, even, say, an Apple TV. So for that reason, Samsung easily wins the extras category. Now, these devices do come close in a lot of things, but price is definitely not one of them. For the iPad mini with Retina, we have a 16 gig model coming in at $399, whereas on this side for the Tab 4 8.0 16 gig, it only comes in at $239. Now, mind you, this is on sale, but you have to realize that Samsung does go on sale quite often, especially when compared to Apple. So you do see a lot more sales for that purpose as well. And thinking of this, you have to realize this is almost double the price, really, when it comes to these tablets. I mean, if you were to get, say, an open item or refurbished model of both of these two, you're really probably looking at double in terms of how much discount each one gives you. So overall, for the better bang for your buck, it's definitely got to go to the Tab 4 8.0, just because simply it does really have certain features that even the iPad mini with Retina doesn't have, and it's almost half the price. And on that note, let's tie them up and see who won. When it comes to look and feel, we have the iPad mini, just a better overall look and feel compared to the Tab 4 series, which is, to be fair, an entry-level series. When it comes to web browsing, we have a tie just simply because they both do fairly well at web browsing. And the iPad mini has the advantage of the clear screen, whereas the Tab 4 has the ability to use two web browsers at the same time and view multiple pages simultaneously. When it comes to music, the iPad mini simply usually sounds louder, whereas the Tab 4 sounds much clearer. So it is a preference on what you prefer in your music listening capability. When it comes to movies, the Tab 4 just does look better overall with movies. It not only just has details really good, but really the color and the depth is just so much better off, especially with that 16:9 ratio compared to the iPad mini's dated 4:3 ratio. When it comes to camera quality, however, the iPad mini comes back just with a much better camera quality in the rear camera and comparable front-facing camera. When it comes to gaming, you are going to want to go with the iPad mini. The Tab 4 isn't horrible, but it definitely doesn't compare to the iPad mini with just latest graphics card. It just has the ability to play games much better. When it comes to battery life, both these two do have their preferences, and both of them are above the 8-hour mark. Now, to be fair, the iPad mini does last longer when not using it, whereas the Tab 4 seems to last longer when actually using it. Which one do you prefer? Well, that is up to you, but for this purpose, we called it a draw. When it comes to extras, it's easily the Tab 4's game, simply for the fact that the Tab 4 just gives you so much more built into the tablet. Not to mention that the price point is definitely going to go to the Tab 4, just because overall it is the better bang for your buck, and you really do get a lot for it. And when we total them all up, we have a tie. That's right, the iPad mini and the Tab 4 both won in 3 categories and tied in 3 other categories. So overall, we do have a tie in these 2 tablets. So if you are looking for the better look and feel, better camera, and better gaming, you are better off with the iPad mini. And if you're looking for better movie watching, more extras, and definitely the better bang for your buck, you're better off going with the Tab 4. Which one did you buy, or which one do you plan on buying now? Please leave your answer in the comments section down below. And if you do have any questions, feel free to ask, and please make sure to give that thumbs up down below. Thank you for watching. This has been RICKY, the Android Guy.